Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome once again to Happy Hours of Coaching Session. This is your host, Ashutosh Bhattodekar, once again with another topic. And the topic which I have now is called Building Skillful Teams. So I'll be talking about how do we build skills into our teams, especially as coaches, as Scrum Masters. One of the unique responsibilities we have is to build teams, and not only build teams but build skillful teams. It should not happen that I build a team but the team has all the anti patterns in it, or the team actually displays a lot of negativities around it, right? So that's the whole intention of trying to understand what are skillful teams all about, and how do we go about building skillful teams as a part of our transformation roadmap, or as a part of our transformation journey, what is there. So that is what I'll be talking about in today's session. I'll be taking some examples from my experiences, my journey as a coach, as a transformation agent, and I'll try to pepper them with some interesting anecdotes, some interesting things what I observed as a coach, as a leader, when I tried to transform some of the teams. And I will be more than happy to hear your experiences also, your thoughts, your ideas, and your experiences around it. So let's try to make it an interactive session. Let us try to learn from each other. And those of you who have joined me on LinkedIn Live and Twitter, thanks a lot for joining. I know we may not be able to have a two-way communication, but you can type in your responses. You can type in your questions, and I'll be more than happy to address those questions and answer those questions. All right. So let me start by asking you, who's this person? Anyone knows who this personality is, or who this person is? Those of you who are watching IPL would easily know this person. Anyone in the Zoom meeting who knows who this person is? And you can type in your response in the chat box, or you can unmute and speak. Anyone in the Zoom meeting knows about this personality? Who is this personality all about? I mean, something very interesting this personality did, and the kind of background he comes from. A very recent story, I would say just 15, 20 days, not even that. That is those of you who are watching IPL would definitely know about this personality, or would know about whom I'm talking about. And obviously, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to connect this with the topic, right? Building skillful teams. So, okay, without any further surprise, let me talk about this person, who this person is, and why I have picked up this particular person as someone. Why I picked up this personality or this person to start my session with. Okay, so this person's name is Rinku. Okay, Rinku Singh, and it's really a tale from rags to riches. It's one of the great success stories of IPL today. Okay, so it is one of the great success stories what we have. And if you remember, he hit 5 sixes in that match against Gujarat Titans, and he actually won he won the match for the team, right? His journey actually, you'll be very surprised to know, at one point in time, he was actually about to pick up a job of a sweeper, right? That's the kind of a transformation we are talking about, right? From a career, right? So Rinku Singh's journey from sweeping streets to sweeping bowlers, a tale of perseverance and success. I'm sure you would have read about it. It came in newspaper a couple of days back. So that's the skill, right? You have to, as a leader, you have to spot talent. You should be in a position to identify where exactly your talent is hidden and how you can nurture and groom the talent, right? That is the biggest message which this story is giving us, right? That otherwise this person would have remained there, right? He would not have been exposed, and he would have been 1.4 billion population of India, right? But the coach, thanks to the coach, okay, thanks to coach, what we see is that this person is now actually got his due credit, right? He has got his due respect or a due credit because of the perseverance, because of the struggle, because of the efforts he has taken. And most importantly, the coach actually spotted a talent in this person. That is a critical success story, or that is a critical what we call as the success piece of what we have as a part of this story what we have. Okay, so that's one interesting story I thought that I will start with. Let us move ahead. Let us move ahead to another personality. Yeah, and of course, this is about Rinku Singh, his background. I mean, born in a poor family of 5 siblings, his father working as an LPG delivery man, and his brother actually drove an auto rickshaw in his town. And he had a passion for cricket since childhood, right? But as I said, right, I mean, where fate and destiny can take you, to a great extent, it also depends upon whether your talent has been spotted properly or not. If the talent is not spotted, what is going to happen is you will remain confined to that, to that world where you are, right? So right spotting of talent is also something very, very vital and very, very important here. All right, another story, another picture, another story. Anyone knows this person again from IPL? Who is this person? Any guesses? Obviously, you can make out from the jersey to which team he belongs to. Again, a very successful story. Just a day before yesterday, when Mumbai Indians were playing that eliminator, which was there. Naveenul Haq. Okay. Is he Naveenul Haq? Well, I don't know if he's Naveenul Haq. Maybe the picture is wrong then if he's Naveenul Haq. It is actually Akash. It is Akash Madhwal, right? I mean, he's an engineer. He's an engineer. So obviously, he had a very good background. He could have easily gone into an engineering field and done his work, right? He could have easily done his work there. But what he did was he decided to actually come into bowling. And just 4 years back, if you look at his story, just 4 years back, he was playing cricket with tennis ball, the way we used to play, right, in our childhood. Okay. And when he attended the trials in 2019, just 3 years back, he was immediately spotted by the coach. So that is what is building skillful teams. As a leader, as a coach, you have to spot on skills into your teams. Many times we fail to identify the skills. The skill gets wasted. And one of the 8 waste of lean is not utilizing your skills properly, right? You could have easily deployed that person in a more skillful position or a more skillful place, but you ended up deploying that person in a totally different area. And as a result, you could not reap in benefit. So that's the message what these stories are giving us, right? How to spot on the skills, how to make sure that the right skills are identified, and then deploy them at relevant, at the right place. The right skill at right place is the message which both these stories are giving us, right? And coach does have a very, very crucial role. And when I say coach, I mean even the leader, whether you are a project manager, whether you are a team lead, whether you are a program manager, the coaching is something which is overpowering. Coaching as a skill is something which is definitely going to overpower these days, as they say, right? I mean, gone are the days of your leadership skills, which are more on authoritarian skills or autocratic leadership style. But what works out today are your coaching skills, what are there. Okay, so that's the key message. That's the key message what is coming out from these stories which are there. So as leaders, as coaches, what is that secret sauce, or what is that ingredient mix we need to have, or we need to possess in order to make sure that we have the right skills, right? What is my model, or what will be my, I will say, operating model or an operating system, which will make sure that there are right skills are not only picked up in my team, but they are nurtured. We should also be nurturing those skills as we move along. So let us try to understand some of the critical parameters which will help us pick up the right skills and nurture them, and I would say enhance them over a period of time. So this model which I'm going to show you, it's more from a leader's perspective. It is a more from a coach, or I would say whosoever is leading the team in the transformation. It is more from that perspective where this model is coming from. So the first and foremost skill what is needed is your communication skills. Nothing can work without communication in today's world. So the poor communication is regarded as the number one reason for number one killer for small businesses number one killer for why projects fail. As we know, right, a project lead or a program manager or as a scrum master or an agile coach, he or she spends nearly 90% of his or her time in communication. And communication, we just don't mean talking in English language. There are multiple elements to communication. Even good listening skills is communication. As a coach, we say, right, we have to be a good listener rather than a good speaker. So when I say that I'm a good listener, that also is a part and parcel of my communication skills, because if I don't listen properly, I won't be able to coach that particular person or that particular team. So good communication skills, that is one of the key skills of what you have to nurture in your team as a leader. Ability to comprehensively talk about the problem, ability to be psychologically safe and not restrict yourself from speaking out. And last but not the least, possessing or encouraging your team to enhance their emotional intelligence. So those of you who have attended my webinar on enriching your emotional intelligence, there I talked about, right? There I talked about real-time scenarios where we saw in that video, in that webinar, sorry, that people are not vocal, people are not communicative. They fear that if I speak out, what will happen to me? How will my leader react to this situation, right? So we see that happening. We see that happening many times. The communication, poor communication leads to a lot of challenges in our day-to-day work life, right? So that is the number one skill what is needed for our team, or to build those skills into our team. The second and the most important skill is leadership skills. So leadership skills is not about promotions. And we'll see that ahead. Leadership skill is about how do I build the right leadership mix in my team? And how do I encourage a culture of true leadership, as the Scrum Guide says, or a culture of servant leadership? That is the second important piece, or the second important element what we have from a leadership perspective, that you have to inculcate leadership skills into your project. That is something very, very important. That is something very, very vital what we have, right? I mean, if you don't create leaders, believe me, there's going to be a leadership vacuum. When you go away, there'll be a very big leadership vacuum, which will be very difficult to fill in, and it might lead to chaos and anarchy. So that's the second level of skilling what you will have to do as a leader. The third one, any guesses what could be the third one? What could be the third type of skill which you have to encourage in your teams and create? I mean, yes, it is very easy to say that my team is self-organizing team, but I feel that self-organizing comprises of these 5 elements. So the overarching thing would be self-organizing cross-functional team, but that self-organizing and cross-functional team are like 2 semicircular arcs which have these 5 skills into it. So what can be the third skill? Any hint from the icon of that blue color circle, what you see, or a sphere, what you see in the third skill? So what could be the third skill, which is very, very important and required in our projects, especially in our teams? Let me see if anyone can guess it. Any skills you can think of which are very, very vital or which are very, very important? Innovation. Perfect. Yes. It's all about encouraging innovative practices in your team. As a leader, you have to bring about a culture of innovation. You have to bring about a culture of quality. You have to bring a culture of about ideation, right? Gone are the days when you could survive on what we did yesterday. As they say, right? Yesterday was history and tomorrow is a mystery. So whatever we have is today. So between history and mystery, you have to create world-class products. You have to create world-class innovative ideas, which have to be translated into products. So that's the innovation. That's the innovation angle, what the skill, what you will need to build into your teams, right? So building innovative ideas, innovative skills, organizing hackathons, organizing innovation circles, quality circles. Those are some of the initiatives what you as a leader can take and bring about that self-organization. As I said, self-organization is something which overlaps, or which is like a cover for this entire 5 elements of what I'm talking about here. All right. Next one, the green one. The green one is about the right mindset. right? Many times we see that we have skillful people, we have all the technocrats in our team, we have the best of the best architects, we have the best of the best developers, we have the best of the best coders in our team, yet the team is actually a failure, right? And I need not tell more, right? I mean, we all know about RCB, right? Royal Challengers Bangalore. They have one of the best team members, yet they are not able to win IPL so far. What could be the reason? Probably the mindset is missing, right? Probably the team is more into a fixed mindset rather than coming into a growth mindset, right? That could be the reason. Or there is always this, and I'll be talking about this in 1 or 2 slides from now. There's something called as a scarcity mindset. There is something called as an abundance mindset. So probably this team is stuck in the scarcity mindset, right? It is having fixed patterns, it is having fixed ideas, and it is not really able to go beyond those fixed patterns and fixed ideas. It is not, the team is not challenging itself. So one of the important things is a challenging mindset, right? Am I able to challenge the status quo? Is it something I can do as a, can I actually say that, no, this is wrong? Do I have that psychological safety? Do I have that, I would say, mandate given to me that, yes, you can challenge anything wrong, what is happening, not necessarily you have to agree on everything. So the right mindset, is something what is needed as a part of your mindset as the pillar, or the fourth pillar is the mindset pillar, what we call it, right? Abundance mindset over scarcity mindset, and I'll talk about it. As we move along, I'll talk about abundance versus scarcity mindset as we go along. The last, but definitely not the least, as a skill, what we need is one which ties back to the earlier example which I gave in this session. As a leader, are you able to spot the talent? You have to really be scouting the talent. And believe me, and again, many times when I go in conferences and all, people ask me that, okay, can you join my company? Can you join our organization? Right? I mean, that's also the places where interviews happen nowadays. So it's not necessarily a formal interview you have to go through. If you're speaking in an event, if you're speaking in a conference, you never know. Your next employer could be watching you. Your next employer could be very detailed level scrutinizing you. And he or she might say that, yes, I want you in my organization, or I want you to do this work for me, right? We have a lot of examples in India, right? Where Mr. Nandan Nilekani, he actually was the CEO of Infosys, and he was assigned for one of the major projects in India, right? The Aadhaar card, the Unique Identification Authority of India. He was assigned as a chairperson of that authority to roll out the Aadhaar card project across the length and breadth of the country. I mean, that is what we call as spotting the talent, right? You have to literally keep your eyes, ears open and scout for talent, right? The next level of talent is not going to come from interview rooms. Let me tell you that. The next level of talent is going to come from webinars. It is going to come from conferences. It is going to come from events. It could be very well be coming from any video which you post related to the work, what you're doing. That is where the next level of talent is going to come from. And that is where, as leaders, we have to keep our eyes and ears open, and we have to make sure that we identify the talent and we scout for the talent and we spot it before someone else picks up that knowledge, picks up that talent. Sorry. So that is the skill model, the 5-piece semicircular skill model, which I feel are the 5 important factors. These are not the only factors, but these are the important factors, what I would say, they are required for our teams to be truly a self-organizing team, for truly to be a cross-functional team. So this is that arc, the golden arc, which I call it as the 5 important elements which are needed for a talent to mushroom and groom into our organizations and into our teams. Now, let us talk about some inherent types of skills which are present in our employees. And I will take you from the old school of thought, or an old skills which were there, to what is very, very recently observed. Okay. And I'm sure many of you would have heard about these skills. Many of you would have discussed these skills as a part of your interview preparation. And some of the skills might be new to you, right? So let us understand this. The original way, I mean, when I take 20 years back, when you're used to interview a person, there used to be what is called as I-shaped skill. What is I-shaped skill? I'm a Java developer. I'm a mechanical engineer. I'm a civil engineer. and that is a work which I will do. I'm an electrician, so I will do electric installation work in your apartment. I'm a plumber, so I will do plumbing activities, right, related to your apartment. So that is called as an I-shaped skill. So I-shaped skill has got a very limited lifespan. And in today's world, we all know, right? Gone are the days when we could survive on I-shaped skill. It was okay to survive on I-shaped skills in my father's time or in my grandfather's time, right? Where one skill a person could have, that skill could suffice the job for the entire lifetime, right? So if the person is working in an organization, this possessing one singular skill would help him or her to survive in that job for 30 years, 35 years. And these people need not even used to bother about changing jobs. Right? I mean, it was not the norm, right? I mean, once you join an organization, you stay there, you work there, and you retire from there, right? So that is called as a I-shaped skills, what is there. Slowly, people realize that just having I-shaped skills are not enough. What you need is, besides your specialty skill, you also need some additional skills which are there. And this gave rise to what we call as a T-shaped model. So in a T-shaped model, you have the deep skills in your special area, which are specialist area, which are in the column. And you have some additional skills across the beam, which are little bit shallow skills. They may not be as expertise as the deep skill what you have. So the other day, an electrician came to my house, and casually I was talking that, you know what, there's a plumbing work also needs to be done. And he said that even he can do it. Although it was not done with the finees, but he could do this. He could do that and he could temporarily solve that problem. So that is a T-shaped skills. What he was possessing are your T-shaped skills, and very important in today's days, right? And I was giving an example of cricket when I started with this session. And in cricket, especially in T20 cricket, you need, in fact, you need more than T-shaped skills today. And we'll talk about what kind of skills you need. But definitely you can't just get into a T20 cricket team just on the basis of your batting or just on the basis of your bowling, right? You need a mix and match of all. You need all-rounder skills, as they say, especially for T20 cricket, if you want to be selected in a team, whether it's an IPL team, whether it's a national team, or whether it's your state level team. Slowly people, and by the way, many times people are only aware about I-shaped skills and T-shaped skills, but there's more to this. Okay, slowly people realize that even you cannot survive on being just one specialist. You need at least the more specialty skills which are there, which gave rise to the pie model. So the pie-shaped skill model is a model which talks about that you have multiple skills. So those multiple skills, there could be one or two specialist skills. For example, I could be a full stack developer, right? As they say, right? I mean, if instead of just being a core Java developer, I'm a full stack developer. I possess skills in multiple languages, multiple platforms. And plus there are additional skills which are there. So that's why it is in the shape of a pie, right? That's why it is called as a pie-shaped skills which are there. Now, this also is not enough. Now, what they say, they have come up with a very interesting model, and I don't know if anyone has heard about it. What could be the other model which is there? Anyone knows about that model? It's a very famous model, what they talk about, that even the pie-shaped skills are not going to be enough. You need more skills. You will need more areas around it. So any idea what is that model which is there? Any guesses around it? Anyone, any guesses around the skill model, what is there? So that's a very interesting model. And in fact, I mean, the sky is the limit, right? I mean, you can derive so many models, but at the end of the day, what is important is that, okay, how you work and contextualize it. No, it is not M-shaped model, but it is closer to that. You are closer, I would say. Who was that? Let me check. It was Prem. Yeah. It is not exactly M-shaped model, but something very, very close to that model. Okay. It is called as, I mean, you're right in a way, it is M-shaped only, but it is actually called as a broken comb model. So broken comb model, I think you know what is a broken comb, right? I mean, the teeth of the comb are of different sizes, which essentially indicates that different skills of different variety of different competencies, right? Or different level of competency you have. For example, one skill you might have a high competency of 10 out of 10, but the other skill might be 8 out of 10. Then the other skill would be 6 out of 10. But these are deep specialty skills what you're carrying, each with varying competencies, and your other skills remain on top. For example, your other skills could be managerial skills or documentation skills, use case authoring skills, estimation skills, proposal writing skills. So those will be the other skills what you could be possessing as a part of that upper beam what we have, right? So this is a broken comb model. So as a leader, as you can see, right, now no longer you will be given a credit if you build I-shaped skills. Today, the demand is everyone should build comb-shaped skills, right? I mean, whether it is the CEO of the organization, whether it's a shop floor worker, whether it's a mid-management, whether it is individual contributor, even for individual contributor, by the way, this applies. It's not that only for managerial people or this model applies. Today, the demand is that everyone should aspire, everyone should be motivated enough, everyone should be challenged to move from a classic I-shaped skill when we are entering into an organization into a broken comb model. And believe me, people who possess broken comb model, they're very difficult to be laid off, right? I mean, you'll find that such people are not laid off from the organization. I mean, there's a correlation around it, right? Because obviously today, one particular teeth of the comb might have dried up or it is about to be broken, but you have other combs from where you can easily switch over, right? So the more broken comb teeth you have, the better is your visibility into the organization, the better are your chances of staving off a layoff, right? So that is what we call it as a broken comb model, which is, I would say, the ultimate nirvana state. If you can really reach there, nothing like it in adapting skills or creating skills which actually have multiple specialist skills, plus some additional skills or other skills which are there. All right, let us further move ahead and let us understand another important element from a leader perspective while you're building skills is you have to focus more on building intrinsic motivation skills vis-a-vis extrinsic motivation skills. Okay, how do I make my team members aware about the intrinsic motivation angle? So any idea what is the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, and how do I build those skills in my team? So what is the extrinsic motivation? What is intrinsic motivation? Any thoughts? And it's okay, you could be wrong also. But any thoughts on that? Intrinsic motivation versus extrinsic motivation? Anyone? What is intrinsic? What is extrinsic? I'm sure you have heard this term. Extrinsic is related to rewards and recognition. Perfect. Yes. So when I talk about extrinsic motivation, it's more about me. Me, myself. I need to get a salary on time. I need to get promotion. I've been doing such a hard work. So why I'm not getting promoted? I should get rewards. Oh, there is a lot of competition. I should not share something with my colleague, right? Because you never know. I mean, he will take credit for it, right? He will take credit for it, and I will actually lose out on a promotion, right? Fear of failure. Oh, what happens if I fail? Now, such kind of a motivational skills, although they are required, but too much overloading of them would be a problem in your project team, right? So as a leader, you have to make sure that, yes, I mean, these are basic hygiene factors. These are basic hygiene skills which are required. But the problem with this skills is a problem with having these this mindset is over a period of time, people will start making statement like this. Oh, thank God it's Friday. I'm away from work. Okay. Oh God, it's Monday. Now I have to again go to office and start work again, right? They will start talking about in this language. Oh God, it's Monday. Thank God it's Friday. Okay, so they will resist to come back to work on a Monday morning. They'll be super excited on a Friday evening, wherein they won't be doing any, obviously you need a break. I'm not denying that, but they would have a mentality that, yes, or a mindset that, you know what, let's do it on Monday, right? I mean, why bother, right? Monday is there. Today's Friday, let us enjoy that. Okay. But what you have to cultivate in your teams are skills related to intrinsic motivation, not extrinsic. Learning skills. What are the new things which I'm picking? What is the purpose? Why I'm coming to office? What is this project contributing to? What is the biggest contribution this project is giving ahead? Right? So those will come in as a part of your extrinsic motivation. What is a mastery? What is autonomy? Right? What is a, I mean, that those things come in intrinsic motivation. What is there? So they say, right? I mean, you have to build the intrinsic motivation of your knowledge workers. So how do I build it? There are techniques available for it. Okay. And then obviously, if you build these skills over a long term, you will find that the statement which is on the top left corner gets converted into like this. Oh God, it's Friday. I don't want to go back to, go back from work. I'm doing such exciting thing that I want to continue to do it, right? Again, I'm not insisting that you have to become a workaholic, okay? But what I'm trying to tell is this is what intrinsic motivation does for people. And thank God it's Monday. So they're happy to start afresh on a Monday morning. So those are the skills. Those are some of the inherent skills from an extrinsic versus intrinsic motivation, which also as a leader, you will have to build in. Okay, so intrinsic motivation is about we. It is about bringing about a collaborative culture rather than about a selfish culture. So from a selfish culture, we move to bring about a collaborative culture. So that is what comes in as a part of my intrinsic motivation, what we have. All right, moving ahead. And of course, one of the important things is as a leader, you have to continuously make sure that your team is up to date with the latest tools, latest technology, latest skills. And but again, I'm not just talking about the theoretical knowledge here. I'm talking about a real practical knowledge which has to be built in, right? So as you can see the quote there, knowledge is of no value unless you put it into practice. So the real-time practical knowledge is something what you will have to build it as a part of team. And also when we talk about knowledge, there are two types of knowledge which are there. And this is one of the challenge we find when we are doing a knowledge transfer, or when we find that when one of your key team member has left the organization, you've struggled to create a replacement for that person. So there are two types of knowledge what you have to remember. The first knowledge is called as explicit knowledge, but this is just a tip of an iceberg, right? Explicit knowledge is what I'm doing right now, right? Last 20, 25 minutes or 30 minutes I've spoken. That is explicit knowledge, something which I'm presenting, something which is documented, something which is in the literature, right? Something which is in the presentation. That is explicit knowledge. And many times we find it easy to capture explicit knowledge, right? So in fact, when you're doing knowledge sharing initiative, you will find explicit knowledge you can easily capture. You can record the session, you can take a presentation, you can ask the people to share the presentation, you can jot down some of the important points, and that is very easy to extract it. But there is a bigger iceberg below this, and that's why it is called as an iceberg effect or an iceberg trap, which is called as tacit knowledge. Tacit knowledge is something which is in my mind. So I might have spoken 5 things about building skillful teams, but there could be other 10 things in my mind which I have not spoken in last 30 minutes. And but if you want to extract it, you have to extract it, right? If you want to know it, you want to extract it, right? Or it could be the way I'm doing things. It could be the actual how I'm doing things, like the actual practice, or what is in my brain, what is in my mind, my experience, what is there. So that is what is called as tacit knowledge. And many times we make a, and tacit knowledge is almost 75% of the total knowledge. Okay. And that's where the real challenge lies. So why most of the knowledge sharing or knowledge transfer initiatives fail is that we are able to capture only the explicit knowledge, something which comes out in meetings, something which comes out in discussions, something which comes out in talks, what are there. That is what we are able to extract. But there are techniques of even extracting tacit knowledge, something which is hidden in my mind. Okay, something which is in my brain, right? And there are skills required for it. There are some skills, and you should encourage your teams to build those skills. As a leader, you should encourage that, yes, they should be able to extract the tacit knowledge, what is there. So any thoughts on how tacit knowledge can be extracted? Or how we can pull a tacit knowledge or hidden knowledge. Tacit knowledge is also called as hidden knowledge sometimes. So how can we extract hidden knowledge from people? Any thoughts or any ideas around it? Anyone in the audience? Or those of you who are in the chat, any techniques or tools you are aware about, or if you have done this before, what are those techniques by which you can extract tacit knowledge out? Anyone can suggest? So there are a lot of those interesting techniques, believe me, by which you can extract tacit knowledge. And by the way, this is what even investigative agencies do. The typical police, the investigation agencies, CBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, they actually extract a lot of information, which is tacit information. Obviously, if someone has arrested me, right, I'm not going to reveal the secret out. I will say that I'm an innocent person. But these people have techniques. And by the way, one of the tools is a lie detector test, which will extract tacit knowledge, but you cannot use that in your workplace, right? I mean, only those agencies like CBI, FBI can use a lie detector test. So don't say that, okay, I said that to use a lie detector test and try to extract tacit knowledge. Okay, that's not a right tool for the corporate world. It might be a right tool for the criminal investigation world, but it's definitely not a right tool for the corporate world. So what can be the techniques which we have? We can't use a lie detector test. We can't do a polygraphic test. We can't actually do other things what the investigative agencies do, right? They have other means of also extracting this information. So how can we extract tacit knowledge? Because these are work colleagues. These are people like you and me, and you also would be facing that situation in your life. Okay, so without any further suspense, let me tell you what can be some of these tools. Okay, I think we have some comment. Keep talking to them. Scenario. Okay, yeah, story building, scenario building can be one of the ways. Yes, storytelling, story building. Much of this knowledge also comes from offline conversations. You take them out to a place for a tea or a coffee, and which is where they reveal some of these things which are there. They might be uncomfortable in revealing them in a formal setting or in a formal environment, but they will reveal in I would say in an informal setting. It will be a little comforting for them to reveal it. So some of the techniques can be like powerful questioning, right? Probing and powerful questions, right? Questions about why it is so like this, and questions not just for the sake of asking it. Some real critical questions which probe down further or which go deep into the scenario, right? Why this? Okay, why not this way, right? So that is powerful questioning, what is there. Then probing, as I said, investigating, not in the terms of, again, the police or the investigative agencies, but there are ways of investigating, right? You do an experiment and you show to the person and ask him why it is happening this way, right? I tried doing it in my way, but this is how the results are coming. So why is this coming like this, right? So that is investigation. Interrogation, again, in a positive way, okay? Not in the way our criminal agencies do it, right? There are ways of interrogating without sounding disrespectful to the person, right? Other techniques can be experiential learning. You demonstrate it, you create it, and you demonstrate it. Shadowing with that person. Cloning, right? Try to clone, try to replicate that person, right? Although it's difficult, cloning is not that easy. You cannot, two people are not the same, but at least try to clone it to some commonalities or some critical skills. Try to clone them and bring them together, right? I try to bring a personality which is cloned to the actual person, what is there, right? So those are the skills. Those are the skills what we have as a part of this techniques which are there, right? To extract tacit knowledge or to extract the information which is hidden. And I do see someone has written, I think it is Sumalata on the LinkedIn Live. Brainstorming, yes. Brainstorming, story mapping, story ideation, etc. So those are some of the very important techniques what you can follow as a part of extracting the tacit knowledge which is there. And some more techniques can be deep listening, active listening, challenging the status quo. Those can be the skills which will help you to extract tacit knowledge. Right? And as I said in the beginning, your tacit knowledge is almost 75%. So imagine that in your knowledge transfer session, 75% of your knowledge is wasted. It's a big risk what you're taking in your project. So your resources, and again, I hate using the word resources for human being. Let me rephrase it. Your human assets in your team, they should have a skill of extracting tacit knowledge, right? Apart from the skills which I listed earlier, there should be a strong emphasis on extracting the tacit knowledge. So where does this bring all to, right? So one of the last slides which I'm going to conclude this session with, and then we will open the floor for any questions if anyone has. So where is this all taking us to? So as I said in the beginning of the session, there is something called as an abundance mindset. There is something called as scarcity mindset. Most of the times we as leaders are always worried about losing today's strength. What happens if the best of my best person leaves the organization? How will I survive, right? We're always worried, right? As leaders, we always think, oh my God, I never know when this person will put down his paper, right? We're always in that zone of anxiety. So we are in that scarcity mindset. We see the glass as half empty rather than the half full. So we are worried about today, right? Oh, today at least this person has not resigned. So I've survived for the day. I'm talking more about the present tense. I'm really not thinking about future tense, right? And yeah, tomorrow is another day. Let's see tomorrow, right? At least today's day is gone, right? But what I feel is you need a shift left strategy here. And I'm not talking about the shift left strategy of bringing testing early in the project management life cycle. I think that's a different topic for a different day and maybe a different speaker. There are better speakers than me for that topic. If you want to really talk about DevOps or a shift left strategy around it. What I meant by shift left strategy here was that you have to completely change this mindset of worried about losing today's strength to basically multiply your strengths. There's a very good book by the name Multipliers. I'm sure many of you would have read it, right? How do you multiply your positive things and how do you diminish your weaknesses? And you are talking here about abundance mindset. You are seeing the glass full, not half empty. You are talking about finding opportunities and you're talking about future thinking. You're not no longer talking about present tense. You're also not talking about future tense. That word tense itself is gone, right? I don't want to have carried tension in my life. That word tense is replaced with optimism. That yes, whatever skills I have, I will optimize those skills. I will try to multiply my strengths and I will try to diminish my weaknesses. And I'm looking forward for another day. I'm not living to see another day. I'm looking forward for another day. With that note, I would like to close this session. And we as leaders have to really shift left and we have to really build these skills, I feel, if we want to really create, this is in true sense a self-organizing team. Self-organizing team is not just one word. I think that it has got a deeper meaning, it has got a deeper context, and it has got all these elements as per me in order to create a fully self-organized team and move ahead with our transformation journey. So on that note, I close this session and I'm happy to take up any questions. But before I take up any questions, do subscribe to my YouTube channel. We have almost 150 videos there. We have a lot of subscribers there and the list is growing. Okay. And I would request all of you to go through the channels, watch those videos. I'm sure these videos are going to benefit you. They're going to help you in your journey. And yeah, looking forward for any questions anyone has. And those of you who are on LinkedIn Live, you can connect with me later and we can also talk around it. I'll be more than happy to talk, get into a quick call of 15-20 minutes and talk about the webinar or any of the topics you have a difference of opinion or you have your viewpoints around it. So on that note, I rest my talk here and opening the floor for any questions which are there. I think there is one question already which is there. The one question which is there is scarcity and fixed mindset the same? In a way, yes. I mean, these are two theories by two different people, but they're very closely related to each other, right? So fixed mindset versus growth mindset, in a way, it is mapped to the, I would say, the abundance mindset and the scarcity mindset, what is there. Yeah, more or less, they're intertwined with each other. Yeah, any other question anyone has, please feel to raise your hand. And I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Any questions? Yeah, any questions? Feel free to raise hand. The 5 items in that slide, those are from my experiences. They are not from any book. Okay, they're not from any book. This is what I have experienced in my journey. Again, this you might not have encountered. This is entirely from my experience where I picked these 5 elements. When I retrospect, when I go back in a few in my past and try to identify what could be those key elements from a skilling perspective, this is how I have come across these 5 elements. So yes, so answering your question, it is from my experiences as a transformation as an agile coach is what I've experienced. So, and again, you might have different opinion. You might have different perceptions about it. Yeah. Any other question? Any other thoughts? Any other question? Feel free to raise those. And folks on LinkedIn Live, do connect with me one-on-one if you have any doubts. Okay, so I think there are no further questions. So maybe we can close this session. And I hope this session was useful to you. You learned something exciting out of this session. As I said, do connect with me. Do connect. If you're not connected on LinkedIn, I'd be more than happy to connect with you on LinkedIn. That is the QR code for my LinkedIn. And yeah, do subscribe to my YouTube channel, watch videos. I'm sure there's a lot of learning, lot of topics there, and which will help you in your career ahead. So I think on that note, we can close this session. Thank you very much for joining in and have a great weekend ahead. So happy weekend to all of you. Thank you.